All right, so now we're ready to implement our payment system, and we're using PayPal here. So you need to log in to PayPal and go to developer.paypal.com/developer/applications. So here you'll see a list of applications. If you've never done this before, you won't see anything. And what we can do is create a new app in sandbox mode so that we can use fake accounts. Now, before you do that, if you go over to sandbox accounts, and what you want to do here is create two accounts. You want a personal to do your testing with, so basically the customer, and then a business for the actual site PayPal, so the business, the account that you would get paid to. So when you create an account, you can choose the type, and then you can go through, you can add a name and stuff like that. So I'm going to use this business and this personal. So like if I look at this information here, I just use John Doe, fake email ID, system generated password. So, I mean, you can create as many of these accounts as you want, but I would say create one personal and one business. And then back at My Apps and Credentials, make sure Sandbox is checked. When you're ready to go live, you can go ahead and you can choose live, but for now we're going to choose Sandbox, and I'm going to give this a name of ProShop. And you want to select your business account, so it'll give you a choice of whatever you have as far as business accounts. I'm just going to use this one and click Create App, and then it's going to give you your client ID. So this we want to copy, and we don't want to put this in our front end. We don't want to store this in our front end. We're going to put it on our back end and create a route to access it. All right, so let's go to our .env in our backend. That's where we're going to store this. So actually, wait a minute, .env is in the root. So we want to go here, and we're going to call this PayPal_client_ID, and I'm going to paste that in. Obviously yours will be different, so we're going to save that, and I'm just going to restart the server since I went ahead and added a new environment variable. And as far as the route, I'm just going to put it right in the server.js, and it's basically like a config route. So I'll go right under these and say app.get, and the endpoint is going to be API/config/PayPal, and let's put request response. And we don't even need brackets because we're only doing one thing here. We're just res.send and process.env.PayPal_client_ID. So what we'll do is, when we're ready to make our payment, we'll hit this route and we'll fetch this client ID. Now, in order to implement PayPal, let's go back to our order screen. We need to include a specific script, and what is it called? Let's say PayPal SDK script. Let's just go here, see if, yeah, so it's going to look like this. We need to include paypal.com SDK/JS, and then we include our client ID. So we're going to build this script dynamically from within our use effect. So, and we're also going to need our client ID, so we need to make a request to that route that we created, that config route. So first thing I'll do is import Axios so that we can make that request. And then we're going to build that script in the use effect. So when the page or component loads, let's go here and let's say const, we'll call this add PayPal script, and set this to an arrow function with async. Okay, and then in here we're going to fetch the client ID from the back end. So let's say const, and from data we want client ID, and set that equal to await, and call axios.get, And the route that we want to hit is going to be /API/config/PayPal. And then for now, I just want to console log the client ID. Now where I want to call this is, well, we'll just call it, we're going to call it in the use effect, but we're going to have some conditions and stuff. So let's just call it now just to see if we can get that. So add PayPal script. Let's save that. Let's go back to here, and now you can see in the console here we're logging the ID, the client ID. So I'm just going to get rid of that for now, and let's continue building the script. So right now we just have the client ID. So let's create a new script. So we'll say const script and set this to document. So this is just vanilla JavaScript, document.create element, and the element we want to create is script. Now we want to add a type to it, so I'm going to take that script and add the type of text/JavaScript, and I want this to be asynchronous. So let's say script.async and set that to true. And the source of the script, so let's say script.source, is going to be, let's put backticks here, and it's going to be that URL that I showed you, this right here. So we can grab this source and let's paste that in, and then we want to put our client ID here. So I'm going to get rid of that, and here we can put our client ID. And let's see, async true, and then we're going to actually have a piece of state for when the SDK is ready. Okay, so the software development kit that PayPal gives us. So up here, I'm actually going to bring in useState, and let's create this. We'll go right here, and let's say const. So we're going to have a piece of state called SDK ready, and then set SDK ready, and set that to useState, and we're going to set that to false as a default value. So down here, once this loads, so we'll say script.onload, and we'll set this to an arrow, and then we're going to call set SDK ready, and we're going to set it to true. Okay, because this tells us if the script has been loaded. And then underneath that, we want to add the script to the body. So let's take document.body and just call .append child, and we want to put that script into the body. So we'll just pass in the script. So we're just dynamically adding that PayPal script. Now we want to get from our state the order pay. So if you remember, we have, let's see, if we look in our order reducer, so we want from our order pay, I want to see if this success is true. So let's bring that in. I'm going to go, we'll just copy this order details, and let's paste this in and change this, and this to order pay. Now from order pay, I want to get loading and success. Now we already have a loading right here, so what I'm going to do is just rename this by just putting colon, and then we'll rename it to loading pay. And then for success, let's do success, and let's call this success pay, because we can just rename it like that. So we have loading pay and success pay, and down in the use effect, let's go, so we'll go under where we created the PayPal script, and I'm going to wrap this dispatch. I want to say if, and I'm going to move this dispatch into the if, and we want to say if success pay, we want to call dispatch again. And what will happen is it'll load the order again, but it should be paid. And we want to pass in success pay here. Now, If we keep it like this, it's only going to get the order details after we pay. We want to be able to see the order even if we don't have the success pay. So what we'll do is we'll say if not order. So basically if the order isn't there or we have a success pay, then dispatch this. So in both cases, when we come to the page and the order is not there, dispatch. Also after it's successful, dispatch. Let's add an order here as a dependency. And now if we go back, we should still see our order. Now our PayPal script still isn't added, so what we'll do is for this if right here, we're going to say else if, and we want to check to see if it's not paid. So we'll say if not order dot is paid. So if it's not paid, then we're also going to check to see if the PayPal script is not there. So if not window dot PayPal, then we're going to call add PayPal script. Okay, else, then we want to set the SDK ready to true. So set SDK ready, set that to true. So what that should do is if the order isn't paid, it'll add this this PayPal script right here, which this should not have a double quote right there. Also, I believe we need www. So let's save that. And now if we go back to our page and we look in elements, you'll see down here the PayPal script is being included. It's not going to be on the page source. You're not going to see it here because we're generating it through the JavaScript, so it's generated afterwards. But it is here, so we will be able to use it. All right, so let's put that back to Redux. Now, as far as the button, we're going to use an npm package called React what is it? It's React-PayPal right here, PayPal button version 2. And it'll give us some buttons like PayPal, PayPal credit, and also if we want to pay with a credit card. So if we look at usage example, yeah, so we just pass in the amount and then we pass in an onSuccess handler. So let's install this. Now you want to make sure you install this in the front end. So I'm going to stop the server, cd into front end, and then npm install React-PayPal-button-v2. That's correct, right? Let me just double check. React PayPal button v2. Again, make sure you're in your front end. All right, so now that that's installed, let's cd ... back here and then npm run dev. And we're gonna first of all bring that component, bring that package in up top. So we'll go right here and say import PayPal button, and that's going to be from React PayPal button version 2. And then let's go down to where we want to put it, which is down here at the bottom. And we're going to go under this last list group item where we have the total, and we want to make sure that it's not paid. So not order is paid. So if it's not paid, then let's open up some parentheses, and in here we want a list group item. And I want to check to see if it's loading. So remember, we have that loading pay. So coming from the order pay, we have loading, but we renamed it to loading pay. So if that's true, then let's show a loader. And I also want to show a loader if the SDK is not ready. So let's say if not SDK ready, then let's show a loader. Else, then we want to show our button. So I'm just going to open up some parentheses, and in here we want to insert our PayPal button. Now this PayPal button takes in, we have to pass in two things, the amount. So we're going to set the amount to the order dot total price, and then it also takes in an onSuccess handler. So onSuccess we're going to set to success payment handler, which we're going to create above. So let's go ahead and save that. See what's going on here. Yeah, success payment handler is not defined. So we're going to go up top here, and let's go right above the return. Const success payment handler. Okay, so in this payment handler, this is where we want to call that pay order action that we created. So this actually from PayPal takes in a payment result, and what I'll do is I'll console.log this so you can see what comes in this. But then we want to dispatch, we want to dispatch the pay order, and that's going to take in the order ID and also that payment result that we get back from PayPal. And did we bring in pay order? No, we didn't. So from order actions, we want to bring in pay order. So what should happen is once we pay it, it'll update the database to paid, and then in the use effect right here, this should be true, and it should dispatch once again and get the order, and it should be paid. Now, one thing that we need to do before I forget is, or else we're just going to get it like a never-ending loop from this use effect, we have to call that pay reset and reset the state. So I'm actually going to bring the pay reset constant in just right into this order screen. So let's say import order underscore pay underscore reset, and that's going to be from dot, where are we, screen, so dot and constants and order constants, and then we can actually dispatch that from here. And that's one thing I didn't really mention, is that you can dispatch from here. It doesn't have to be from an action file, but it's just neater to keep everything in an action file. So we want to go down here right before we dispatch order details, and let's dispatch an object with the type of order underscore pay reset. And if you don't do this, once you pay, it's just going to keep refreshing. So I think we're all set to try this out. So let's go back, and we have our PayPal button, we have a PayPal credit button, and a debit or credit card button. So if I click this, it's going to take us to pay, and my account's already going to be logged in. You can see I'm logged in with my John Doe account, and it's at sandbox.paypal. Make sure that it says sandbox. This isn't real money that we're using. And if you're not already logged in, you just need to go to your account. So go to your personal account that you want to use to log in as, and you should be able to get the account email, which is this, and then your generated password. Okay, and this is not real money, so it's just a sandbox. So I'm going to go ahead and just use this fake credit union here and click Pay Now. And this should refresh after everything goes through, and over here now it says paid on the date and time. So our order's been paid. Now I just want to go to the console, because remember I console logged the payment result we got from PayPal, and this is the stuff that we get. So status completed, that's what we put that in our database. We put the updated time. In the payer you have the email address. You can also get, well, I guess just the country here from the address, but notice that that's my PayPal email address. Payer ID, and then the ID, which is right here, which we did put in the database. And we can check that. If I come here to my orders and let's refresh, is paid true. And if we look at the payment result, it has the ID, the status completed, updated time, and email address. And if you want to put anything else that you get from this response in there, you can. Now this is still marked as not delivered, because later on we'll have a button here for admins to mark it as delivered. But our order's paid. I think the next thing that I want to do is to be able to go to our profile and list out our orders here, and we can have a link going to our order page.